What if one of the biggest mistakes made after a cancer diagnosis has nothing to do with medicine, but with what ends up on your plate every single day? Many people assume that once treatment begins, food no longer plays an important role. In fact, some patients are even told to eat whatever they want, as long as they don't lose weight. But what if modern scientific research paints a very different picture? What if certain foods can help strengthen your body's natural defenses while you're receiving treatment? And what if other everyday foods quietly work against those same defenses without you realizing it? Today, we're taking a closer look at what the latest research suggests about food, cancer, and how smart nutrition can become a valuable partner alongside medical treatment. This isn't about replacing medicine, it's about giving your body every possible advantage during one of the toughest battles it may ever face. When someone is diagnosed with cancer, one of the very first questions they usually ask is simple but deeply personal. What did I do wrong? It's a natural reaction. People immediately begin looking back over their lives, wondering if they made choices that contributed to the disease. The reality, however, is much more complex. Cancer rarely develops because of one single cause. Instead, it usually results from a combination of factors that build up over many years. Genetics can play a role. Environmental exposure to harmful substances may contribute. Lifestyle habits matter as well. And yes, diet is one of those important pieces of the puzzle. That doesn't mean a single meal or one unhealthy snack causes cancer. The human body doesn't work that way. But consistently eating certain foods over many years can increase the likelihood of harmful genetic changes that eventually allow cancer to develop. Understanding which foods increase risk and which foods help protect the body is an important step toward making better long-term decisions. One of the clearest examples involves processed meats. Organizations like the World Health Organization have classified processed meats as known cancer-causing substances. This category includes familiar foods such as hot dogs, bacon, ham, salami, sausages, deli meats, and corned beef. These foods have become part of everyday life for many families, but research has shown that eating them frequently over long periods can significantly raise the risk of developing cancers of the digestive system, especially colorectal cancer. The concern isn't about eating one sandwich or enjoying bacon on a special occasion. The real issue is regular, repeated exposure over many years. Every time these processed meats pass through the digestive tract, the body is exposed to chemicals that can damage healthy cells. As that damage accumulates over time, the chances of mutations increase, creating conditions that may eventually lead to cancer. Another food category that deserves attention isn't necessarily the food itself, but the way it's prepared. Grilled meats have become a favorite at family gatherings, cookouts, and backyard barbecues. The smoky flavor is hard to resist, but behind that delicious taste lies a hidden problem that many people never hear about. When fat drips from meat onto hot flames, it creates smoke filled with harmful chemicals called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, often shortened to PAHs. As the smoke rises, these compounds settle back onto the surface of the meat. At the same time, the intense heat changes proteins within the meat, producing another group of potentially dangerous compounds known as heterocyclic amines, or HCAs. Both groups of chemicals have been linked to an increased risk of cancer. Many people focus only on what they're eating, but few think about what happens during the cooking process itself. The blackened crust that forms on heavily grilled foods may seem flavorful, yet it often contains concentrated amounts of these harmful substances. Even the grill grates themselves can become coated with residue from previous cooking sessions. If they aren't cleaned properly, those leftover carcinogens can transfer directly onto the next batch of food, whether it's meat, fish, or even vegetables. Does that mean you should never enjoy grilled food again? Not at all. Like many things in nutrition, moderation is key. Small changes can dramatically reduce unnecessary exposure while still allowing you to enjoy your favorite meals. The first and perhaps easiest habit is keeping your grill clean. Removing the black residue before every use helps reduce the buildup of carcinogenic compounds. Cleaning the grates after cooking also makes future grilling safer. Another simple adjustment involves where you stand while cooking. Many people enjoy standing over the grill, turning food while breathing in the smoke. Unfortunately, that smoke doesn't just carry flavor. It also contains many of the same harmful chemicals coating the food. Simply stepping back whenever possible can reduce direct exposure through inhalation. Marinating foods before grilling offers another layer of protection. Marinades made with citrus fruits, pineapple, or other antioxidant-rich ingredients help neutralize some of the harmful compounds formed during high-temperature cooking. Adding spices such as turmeric and cumin may provide additional antioxidant support, helping limit damage caused during grilling. Finally, one of the simplest recommendations is also the most practical. Don't don't rely on grilled foods too often. Enjoy them occasionally rather than making them a regular part of your weekly routine. This small shift alone can reduce long-term exposure to carcinogens created during the grilling process. While understanding which foods may increase cancer risk is important, an even bigger question arises after someone receives a diagnosis. Patients often ask their doctors a simple question: what should I eat now? Surprisingly, many people receive disappointing answers. Some are simply told to eat whatever they can tolerate, with the main focus being to avoid losing weight during treatment. While maintaining body weight certainly matters, that advice barely scratches the surface of what modern nutritional science now understands. The truth is that nutrition becomes even more important after a cancer diagnosis, not less. Your body is equipped with remarkable biological systems designed to defend against disease every single day. Long before cancer develops, these systems work constantly to detect abnormal cells, repair damaged tissue, regulate inflammation, and support immune function. Cancer often appears when these natural defenses become overwhelmed or weaken. The encouraging news is that many of these protective systems respond directly to what we eat. Food isn't simply fuel or calories. Many natural compounds found in everyday foods actively communicate with the body's cells, influencing inflammation, immunity, blood vessel growth, tissue repair, and even how certain cancer-related processes behave. This isn't a debate between food and medicine. It's about understanding how both can work together. Medical treatments like surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, targeted therapy, and immunotherapy remain essential tools in fighting cancer. But alongside those treatments, nutrition provides another opportunity to strengthen the body's own protective mechanisms. Researchers now recognize several major biological defense systems that play critical roles in cancer control. One helps regulate blood vessel growth, preventing tumors from developing the rich blood supply they need to expand. Another focuses on regeneration, allowing healthy tissues to repair themselves after damage caused by cancer or treatment. The gut microbiome, made up of trillions of beneficial bacteria, helps regulate inflammation while supporting immune responses. DNA repair systems constantly work to identify and fix damaged genetic material before it becomes dangerous. Finally, the immune system itself serves as the body's frontline defense, identifying and destroying abnormal cells whenever possible. Each of these systems can be influenced through nutrition, making food far more powerful than many people realize. One reason many patients never hear this information from their doctors is surprisingly simple. Most physicians were never trained to use nutrition as part of cancer care. Traditional medical education has focused primarily on diagnosing disease and treating it with surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, or medication. While these treatments save countless lives and remain absolutely essential, nutrition has often received very little attention in medical school. Many experienced physicians openly admit they received only a few days, or at most a single week, of formal nutrition education during years of medical training. As a result, many oncologists naturally rely on the tools they know best: drugs, procedures, and clinical therapies. That doesn't mean they don't care about nutrition. It simply reflects how the medical system has historically been structured. Fortunately, that picture is beginning to change. Younger doctors entering the field today are showing much greater interest in nutrition, lifestyle medicine, and preventive care. They recognize that helping patients doesn't stop when they leave the infusion clinic or hospital. Recovery continues every single day at home, and the choices patients make during that time can influence their overall health in meaningful ways. Still, change in medicine rarely happens overnight. New research takes years to become standard practice. That's why many patients may need to educate themselves and become active participants in their own care. Learning about nutrition doesn't replace professional medical advice. Instead, it allows patients to ask better questions and work together with their healthcare team to create the strongest possible treatment plan. Of course, whenever someone says food can influence cancer outcomes, skeptics immediately ask an important question: where's the evidence? That's exactly the right question to ask, because nutrition should always be based on scientific research rather than wishful thinking or internet myths. Fortunately, several well-designed clinical studies have produced results that deserve attention. One study followed more than 800 patients with stage 3 colon cancer who were receiving standard medical treatment. Every participant underwent conventional therapy recommended by their oncology team. However, researchers noticed something interesting when they examined eating habits. Patients who regularly consumed about 2 servings of tree nuts each week experienced dramatically better outcomes than those who didn't. The improvement wasn't small. Researchers found approximately a 57% increase in overall survival among patients who included tree nuts as part of their weekly diet. Think about that for a moment. The cancer treatment itself remained the same. The difference was what patients consistently ate alongside their treatment. So why might nuts make such a difference? Tree nuts contain healthy unsaturated fats that support immune function. They're also packed packed with dietary fiber, which nourishes beneficial bacteria living inside the digestive system. A healthier gut microbiome helps reduce chronic inflammation while supporting stronger immune activity. Those improvements may create a more favorable environment for the body while medical treatments do their work. This doesn't mean nuts cure cancer. Rather, they may help strengthen biological systems that influence recovery and treatment response. Another fascinating study looked at nearly 250 patients with different types of cancer receiving one of the newest and most promising forms of treatment available today, immunotherapy. Unlike chemotherapy, which directly attacks rapidly dividing cancer cells, immunotherapy works differently. It stimulates the patient's own immune system, encouraging it to recognize and destroy cancer more effectively. For many patients, immunotherapy has transformed cancer treatment, but one frustrating reality remains: not everyone responds equally well. Researchers wanted to understand why. After carefully studying patients' gut microbiomes, they discovered something remarkable. Many patients who failed to respond to immunotherapy shared one important characteristic: they lacked sufficient levels of a beneficial gut bacterium called Akkermansia mucinifila. Although the name sounds highly technical, its role inside the body is easier to understand. This bacterium helps maintain the protective lining of the intestine, reduces inflammation, supports metabolism, and communicates closely with the immune system. Scientists now believe it plays an important role in helping the body's natural defenses respond more effectively during cancer treatment. Perhaps even more interesting is how this bacterium can be encouraged to grow naturally. Unlike medications that must be prescribed, beneficial bacteria often respond to dietary choices. Foods such as pomegranates, cranberries, mangoes, chili peppers, and traditional fermented ingredients like Chinese black vinegar contain compounds that support the growth of Akkermansia. Including these foods regularly may help create a healthier gut environment that supports immune function. Again, these foods are not replacing treatment. They're helping create conditions that may allow the body's own defense systems to perform more effectively. Naturally, many people wonder whether they actually have enough of this beneficial bacterium. Today, that's becoming easier to answer. Gut microbiome testing has become increasingly available through specialized laboratories. Typically, the process is straightforward. A testing kit arrives by mail, includes simple collection instructions, and is returned to the laboratory for analysis. A few weeks later, patients receive a detailed report describing the bacteria living inside their digestive system. Among the many organisms measured is Akkermansia mucinifila. The report may also identify harmful bacteria associated with increased inflammation or reduced microbial diversity. This information can provide valuable insight into overall digestive health and may help guide conversations with healthcare providers. For patients already overwhelmed by appointments, scans, treatments, and medications, arranging another test may feel like one more burden. That's completely understandable. In those situations, family members or caregivers can often help organize the process. More importantly, patients should discuss these results with their oncology team whenever possible. Even if nutrition isn't their primary specialty, additional information about gut health may still contribute to more personalized care. As research continues, microbiome science is becoming one of the most exciting areas in cancer medicine. It reminds us that the body functions as an interconnected system rather than isolated organs working independently. Once someone has been diagnosed with cancer, another question naturally follows. So what should I start eating today? Many people hope for a simple checklist, a universal list of 10 miracle foods that works for everyone. Unfortunately, biology isn't that simple. Every patient brings a unique medical history into treatment. One individual may also be managing diabetes, another may have celiac disease or food allergies. Someone else could be dealing with kidney disease, digestive disorders, autoimmune conditions, or nutritional deficiencies. Each situation requires thoughtful adjustments. This is why personalized nutrition has become an increasingly important concept. Just as modern medicine is moving toward personalized treatments based on genetics and tumor biology, nutrition should also reflect each person's individual needs, medical history, preferences, and treatment plan. There is no single menu that fits every patient. However, while individual plans differ, researchers have identified several broad nutritional principles that appear beneficial for many people living with cancer. One of the most important involves cutting off the resources tumors need in order to grow. Like every living tissue in the body, tumors depend on blood vessels for oxygen and nutrients. Without an adequate blood supply, cancer cells struggle to survive and expand. The process through which new blood vessels develop is called angiogenesis. Normally, angiogenesis is essential. It helps wounds heal, repairs damaged tissues, and supports healthy organs. Cancer, however, hijacks this natural process. Tumors send powerful chemical signals that stimulate nearby blood vessels to grow toward them. Once those vessels connect with the tumor, they begin delivering a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients that fuels rapid growth. Research has shown just how dramatic this effect can be. A tiny tumor with limited blood supply may remain relatively inactive for long periods, but once an extensive network of blood vessels develops, growth can accelerate accelerate at an astonishing rate. That's why scientists have spent decades searching for ways to interrupt this process. Remarkably, many naturally occurring compounds found in everyday foods have demonstrated anti-angiogenic properties in laboratory and clinical research. These foods won't replace medical therapies designed to block tumor blood vessels, but they may support the body's own efforts to regulate abnormal vessel growth. Among the foods receiving the greatest scientific attention are soy products, tomatoes, green tea, coffee, oily fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids, berries such as blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, and red grapes. Cruciferous vegetables, including broccoli, cauliflower, kale, and bok choy, also contain naturally occurring plant compounds that researchers continue to investigate for their potential role in supporting healthy blood vessel regulation. Choosing these foods regularly may provide another small but meaningful advantage while patients continue receiving standard medical care. Cancer cells are remarkably resourceful. Once they succeed in building their own blood supply, they gain access to everything they need to survive and multiply. That is why slowing down this process has become one of the major goals in cancer research. While prescription medications designed to block blood vessel growth have become an important part of modern oncology, researchers have also discovered that certain foods naturally contain compounds capable of supporting the body's own anti-angiogenic defenses. They don't replace treatment, but they can become valuable allies alongside it. Foods like soy, tomatoes, green tea, coffee, omega-3 rich fish, berries, and cruciferous vegetables all contain bioactive compounds that scientists have studied for their ability to influence abnormal blood vessel growth. When these foods become regular parts of a balanced diet, they may help create an internal environment that is less favorable for tumor expansion. Again, this isn't about expecting food to eliminate cancer on its own. Instead, it's about stacking as many advantages as possible in your favor while conventional treatments do the heavy lifting. The next biological defense system deserves just as much attention because it involves something many people have never heard of: cancer stem cells. Most people understand that tumors contain cancer cells, but far fewer realize that not all cancer cells behave the same way. Inside many tumors lives a very small group of highly specialized cells called cancer stem cells. Think of them as the seeds hidden inside a weed. You can trim away the visible weed, but if the seed remains alive beneath the soil, the weed has the potential to grow back. Cancer stem cells function in much the same way. They possess an extraordinary ability to survive treatments that destroy many ordinary cancer cells. Even after surgery removes a tumor or chemotherapy significantly shrinks it, these stem cells can sometimes remain behind months or even years later. They may begin producing new cancer cells, leading to recurrence. This is one reason why doctors continue monitoring patients long after treatment ends. A successful scan today doesn't always guarantee the disease will never return. Ongoing surveillance remains essential because cancer stem cells can sometimes remain hidden until they begin growing again. The encouraging news is that laboratory research has identified several foods containing natural compounds capable of interfering with cancer stem cells. Although these findings continue to be studied and should never be viewed as replacements for medical treatment, they offer another example of how nutrition may support the body's overall defense strategy. Purple potatoes provide one interesting example. Their deep purple color comes from natural pigments called anthocyanins. Beyond giving these potatoes their vibrant appearance, anthocyanins have attracted scientific interest for their potential ability to affect colon cancer stem cells in laboratory studies. Green tea has also become one of the most extensively researched beverages in nutrition science. Rich in powerful plant compounds known as catechins, green tea has demonstrated effects on multiple biological pathways related to cancer, including those associated with cancer stem cells. Coffee, another beverage once viewed with suspicion, has similarly become the focus of growing research. While excessive consumption isn't recommended for everyone, moderate coffee intake has been linked in numerous studies with positive health outcomes, including potential protective effects against several forms of cancer. Tree nuts continue appearing throughout nutritional research as well. Walnuts, almonds, pecans, pistachios, and other varieties provide healthy fats, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds that support multiple defense systems simultaneously. Rather than targeting only one pathway, these foods contribute to a healthier overall biological environment. Supporting healthy cells while making life more difficult for unhealthy ones represents an important theme throughout modern nutritional science. Another critical defense system involves the immune system itself. Every minute of every day, your immune system patrols your body, searching for viruses, bacteria, damaged cells, and abnormal abnormal cells that shouldn't be there. Specialized immune cells constantly communicate with one another, identifying threats and coordinating responses. Cancer develops in part because some abnormal cells manage to escape this surveillance system. Once treatment begins, maintaining strong immune function becomes even more important. Unfortunately, some therapies, especially chemotherapy, can temporarily weaken immune defenses while they attack rapidly dividing cancer cells. This temporary suppression leaves patients more vulnerable to infections and may reduce the body's ability to recognize remaining cancer cells. For that reason, supporting immune health through nutrition becomes another valuable strategy. Among the foods attracting scientific interest are broccoli sprouts. These tiny sprouts are harvested just a few days after germination and contain exceptionally high concentrations of sulforaphane, a naturally occurring compound studied for its effects on detoxification enzymes, inflammation, and immune regulation. Despite their small size, broccoli sprouts contain much higher concentrations of certain beneficial compounds than fully mature broccoli. Blueberries provide another impressive example. These small berries are packed with antioxidants called anthocyanins, along with vitamin C, fiber, and numerous plant polyphenols. Research suggests these compounds help support immune cell activity while reducing oxidative stress throughout the body. Their nutritional density makes them one of the simplest additions people can make to an overall healthy eating pattern. Chili peppers may also contribute in surprising ways. Beyond adding heat to meals, they contain capsaicin and other naturally occurring compounds that researchers continue investigating for their effects on metabolism, inflammation, and immune signaling. No single food transforms the immune system overnight. Instead, consistent dietary habits gradually shape the body's overall ability to respond to challenges. This brings us back to one of the most fascinating areas of modern health research, the gut microbiome. Scientists now estimate that trillions of microorganisms live inside the human digestive tract. Far from being unwanted guests, many of these bacteria perform essential jobs that humans cannot accomplish alone. They help digest certain foods, produce important nutrients, regulate metabolism, communicate with immune cells, and maintain the protective barrier lining the intestines. When these beneficial bacteria thrive, they produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids. These substances enter the bloodstream and help calm excessive inflammation throughout the body. Remember how inflammation can create an environment that allows cancer to progress more easily? Short-chain fatty acids help move the body in the opposite direction. Instead of fueling inflammation, they help regulate it. Instead of weakening immune responses, they help strengthen communication between beneficial bacteria and immune cells. This relationship explains why nutrition experts place so much emphasis on feeding the microbiome properly. Beneficial bacteria require nourishment just like every other living organism. One of their favorite food sources is dietary fiber. Unlike many nutrients absorbed earlier during digestion, fiber travels into the large intestine where gut bacteria ferment it. During this process, they produce the valuable short-chain fatty acids that support overall health. Foods naturally rich in fiber include lentils, chickpeas, black beans, white beans, kidney beans, and many other legumes. These foods provide an outstanding combination of fiber, plant protein, vitamins, and minerals while supporting microbial diversity inside the gut. Mushrooms also deserve recognition. Even common white button mushrooms contain beneficial compounds that support immune function and contribute valuable fiber. Avocados offer another excellent option. Besides healthy fats, they provide generous amounts of fiber that nourish beneficial bacteria while contributing to heart health. Raspberries may be among the most impressive fruits when it comes to fiber content. Despite their delicate appearance, they deliver remarkably high amounts of fiber per serving, making them an easy and delicious way to support digestive health. In addition to feeding existing beneficial bacteria, people can also introduce helpful microorganisms through fermented foods. Kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, yogurt, and other fermented products naturally contain live cultures that may contribute to microbial diversity when consumed regularly as part of a balanced diet. Among these options, yogurt remains one of the easiest for many people to enjoy consistently. Fermented dairy products provide beneficial bacteria while also supplying protein, calcium, and other important nutrients that can become especially valuable during cancer treatment. Together, prebiotic foods that feed beneficial bacteria and probiotic foods that introduce them create a healthier digestive ecosystem. That healthier microbiome then supports lower inflammation, stronger immunity, and better